Alright, hey guys, it's Asha. Welcome back to Reading with Toby. Today I am starting off my end of the year videos. I'm really excited about it. So today we're going to start with my top 5 worst or disappointing books that I read this year. I'm combining them because I don't have enough to make a separate video for the worst and then one for most disappointing books. So I'm just combining them, and I only have 5, so that's actually pretty good, I think. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing is that I looked everywhere for 4 of the books and I don't know where they are. I recently moved and like all of my stuff are in bins just because of like 4th year of med school. You're doing like away rotations, so it made no point for me to be paying for rent if I'm not going to be there. But anyways, so when I was moving, I like intentionally put aside all the books that I have read, so because I knew I was gonna make this video at the end of the year, and I cannot find them in any of the bins. So I think I subconsciously just went ahead and put them in the other bins that are like in storage, which is really funny because I guess that's how bad they were. That I didn't even think to bring them, which is so weird. I don't know. So I only have 1 physical copy of a book. The rest I'm just gonna have to show you, but I hope that's okay. I feel like it shouldn't really make that big of a difference. This is in no particular order. These are just the worst or disappointing books that I've read this year. Let's go ahead and start with the first one, which is the physical book that I have. And that is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. So I talked about this in my Summerween reading vlog, which I'll go ahead and link for you guys if you want to watch it. But yes, this book, no. I gave this, I had looked on Goodreads and I put a 2.5 out of 5 stars, but I think it's really just a 2-star read to me. So this is marketed as an adult horror novel, and 1, it's not horror. Like at all, not horror. Maybe a little suspenseful, not horror. And 2, I could see adult, but the main girl is like 16, and there's a lot of tropes and stuff that I feel like it's more on the YA side. So I feel like it's one of those adult novels that's really like, it could have been a YA book, but that's just my opinion. This is set back in like the Puritan times in this small town, and it's run by the head priest, and it's very like Puritan. So all of the men in charge have like all the power. They can have multiple wives, and Emmanuel, she's kind of an outcast in the town, 1 because of her darker skin, 2 because her mother kind of has like a bad history. She went into the woods and was said to be a witch, and ended up dying. That's not a spoiler, that's like all in the first half. So she starts finding herself, I have to stop spinning. She finds herself getting called to the woods, and kind of starts getting into more of the witchy powers that she thinks she has, and discovering all the secrets and blah 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 blah. So this I was so disappointed in. 1, I did not like the writing. There was some potential. Definitely, this is her debut novel, so I could definitely see it improving, but I can like forgive the writing if the plot is really good, but the plot wasn't that great. And also I thought Emmanuel was the most boring, one-dimensional character. There was like nothing to her at all. She barely reacted to anything. She was just going around thinking about stuff, not really doing anything. It's like full of tropes. Like her kind of love interest is like your stereotypical guy who likes to read, who's like against the rules, who is who like sees her for something different and like likes her, and is against the like society, like just so stereotypical that I could not stand it. And yeah, I just thought that this was so boring. And you do have like these plagues and stuff, but I felt like I didn't believe that the town was scared about the plagues that were happening. I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe her, when Emmanuel's character, how she felt about things. I just thought it was very flat, and I did not like it at all. Yeah, I give it 2 out of 5 stars. I was really disappointed about it. Not only was I disappointed, but I don't think it's that good. And I'm noticing that people who love this book and who gave it 5 out of 5 stars, which I'm like, how? But I'm just, guys, this is my opinion, I don't really care. But the people who I notice who are giving it 5 out of 5 stars are people who read a lot of YA and love YA. But I don't read a lot of YA. I don't really, YA is not my favorite. There are some good YA stuff. I also notice that people who read a lot of adult novels, and that's mainly what they read, did not like this. So take that for what you will. I think if you love YA, you would like this. If you like witchy books, you would like this. And that's the other thing, I was expecting her to have more awesome witchy powers and just like be amazing, but it was just more like men hunting witches, like your typical thing. But yeah, the only thing I did like about it was the commentary on how like women get blamed for the actions of men. So I really like the commentary, the feminist takes on it, but other than that, did not think it was that great. Nope. So the next book that I have to talk about is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stampert. Did I remember that correctly? I don't know, I'll put it here. But this was a YA novel, and I know I just said that I don't really read a lot of YA, but usually if it's like a light-hearted, sweet YA, then that's what I will like. And this one just sounded really good because it had these space elements to it, and anything about space I tend to love and want to read it. So this book, you are following two boys, and both of their parents are in NASA and in this like training mission to be sent to Mars, and they fall in love. And yeah, it was like, I mean, just your typical story. So this was like pretty disappointing. I think mainly because I'm not the targeted audience. It's definitely for your younger YA, like 13, 14, maybe 15-year-olds. So, but even though it's for younger, I feel like I could still appreciate it. But yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't think the writing, again, was that great. I thought that the love interest in this, he had depression, and I don't think that was handled very well, because that was kind of like all he was, and I don't think they really explored it that well. But what I did like about it, that I did appreciate, is that it is a male-male romance, and there was no criticism towards it, no hate. Both parents were completely understanding. There was no like big coming out story. Like, it was just, they fell in love, and that was that. And I think that it's important to have those kinds of stories in books. Like, it's important to have the struggling and the trauma and all that stuff, but it's also important to have your normal happy teens who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. I think that's just as important to have those stories. So I was happy to see that in this book, but other than that, no, it was really boring. I had to force myself to finish that book. And then the space elements were cool. You did get some like sciencey things, and you talked to like some scientists in the book, but yeah, no. All right, so the next book is Valentine. I can't remember who it's by, but this book sounded so great to me. It was pitched as like this really intense feminist novel about these women in this small town coming together, and women like supporting one another. So I was like all for it. It takes place in this small town in Texas in like the 70s. It kind of like starts off with this girl who's like brutally raped by someone from the town, and the girl is Mexican. Now all the other women that you follow various women throughout the town. They're all white, and when you're following the other women, some of them barely mention the rape, or they mention it, they don't seem to really care for it. You're following a woman and all she's talking about is her avian makeup, and it just completely rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like it. I definitely had to force myself to finish this. I do have a vlog for this book if you want to hear more of my thoughts, but I don't know what the author was trying to do. I just don't understand why you would have something so terrible happening to a character, and it's like affecting throughout the town, because the person who raped her is like known throughout the town, the boy, and so it's like definitely impacts the town. But it's like all the white, there's like one white woman who really cared, one of the characters, but the rest of them were just like didn't really care about it. I think if you didn't have the rape aspect and you were just following women in a small town, and there, yeah, I could get along with that, but I just couldn't like read one chapter from the Mexican girl's perspective about how she's dealing with racism in this small town, how she's raped, how she's trying to like, she like gets raped out in the desert, and she has to like crawl and walk her way back to someone's house to try to get help. And then the next chapter, read about a white woman who knows about it and just kind of brushes it off, and then talks about selling makeup. Like, I just couldn't. I don't understand what the author was trying to do. So just completely rubbed me the wrong way. don't recommend. I think I gave it 2 or 1 star, I can't remember, but yeah, no. Okay, so the next one is definitely one that was more disappointing. It's not necessarily a bad book, but it was just more on the disappointing side, and that is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Wong. So I heard so many great things about this book. It was like the hyped literary fiction book a couple years back, and I wanted to read it, and I finally did. And like the first half, I do also have a reading vlog for this, I just remembered. Like the first like half I was loving so much. The writing was incredible. He used to be a poet, and you could definitely tell. So you're following this boy who is mixed race. He's half American, half Vietnamese, and it really explores about what it's like being mixed race, explores what it's like to be like a first generation American, explores what it's like to find your first love, and he falls in love with another boy and explores all of that. And I was like loving the first half, and then you got into like the second half, and it just became so convoluted, and the writing was just all over the place. You would have like one sentence set in present, and then literally like the next sentence would be set in the past, and the next sentence would be set in Vietnam, and the next sentence would be set like somewhere, and I had no idea what was going on and why it was like that. And there was just so many things happening. There's like drug addiction and mental illness, and it was just like a ton of stuff shoved into this tiny book, but it wasn't like well fleshed out. And then the end, it just became like too confusing. I had no idea what was happening, what was going on. But the writing was incredible. Like someone mentioned in a Goodreads review, it was like beautiful writing, but you have no idea what he's saying. And that's exactly how I felt. It's just like, it sounds great, but I don't know what you're saying. So I was disappointed with that, just because it was like had such great reviews. And then I was also disappointed because I loved the first half, and I was like annotating it, I was marking quotes, and then got to the second half and I was just like, what? So yeah, that one was disappointing, but I think I would check out more of what he writes just to see, just because it was written really, really well. So yeah, hopefully his next book will be a little bit more like put together, or maybe a little longer, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so the last book I have to talk about, I don't think I talked about this in any video, but I actually DNF'd this book, and that is Z, a novel by Zelda Fitzgerald by Teresa Fowler, I think I say it. So this book, I was super excited about this book. I've had this book on my shelves for a long years and years and years and years, and I picked it out of my TBR jar, which I stopped doing, but I picked it out of my TBR jar and I started reading it, and I was really enjoying it. You're following exactly what it says. Zelda Fitzgerald, and she meets Scott Fitzgerald, and their lives, and you know, him becoming famous and them having children and all that stuff. So I was loving the first little bit of it, because we were reading about them falling in love, and him like trying to write short stories and books, and him finally selling a book, and like he's getting more and more famous. And yeah, I was really, really enjoying it. But then like, I don't know, I don't really know anything about F. Scott Fitzgerald or Zelda Fitzgerald. I don't know if this is true, but like F. Scott Fitzgerald was terrible to Zelda, and I did not like reading it, just because it was just not what I wanted. I was hoping it was going to be a nice love story, but he was just treating her so terribly, like terribly. And I was like, and she was aware of it. And then it started to get really boring when I got pretty far in it. They were about to move to Europe, and Zelda was, I think she just had her baby, and it just started getting really boring, and I just stopped caring. And yeah, like it's so boring. But I just like could not keep going. And then on top of that, the author used the N-word once, and then gay people were referred to as fairies in this book. And I know you can say it's like of the times, that's the words people use. Like, no, I still don't have to like reading those words and reading people described as that. And also, do you really have to use those words to make it feel authentic in the times? Like, does that really make it historically accurate if you use those? Anyway, so it was like I already wasn't liking it and found it boring, and then those things, like the N-word was used, gay people were referred to as fairies and like made fun of. I was just like, nah, I'm done, I'm out. goodbye. So yeah, I did not like that one either. All right guys, so those are my top 5 worst / disappointing reads of 2020. Let me know what you guys think. Did you read any of these books and enjoyed them, or did you also read them and not like them so much? Let me know, because I am curious. I'm sure we have differing opinions, which is totally fine. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.